Finally, my friends, the dream has become a reality. With all games awesome, DanVanDam here. Well, I was noticing that this closet needed a little pick-me-up with some very awesome consoles. So, with that said, I had myself a little bit of my collection. I decided, well, I'm going to show off what I have for consoles. I put in this cabinet cave of gaming, or the gaming cabinet of awesomeness. This cave is going to be called thus by the cave of extremely awesomeness of gaming. Yeah. So, at the moment I got most of my consoles hooked up. Most of them are not. Most of them are just going to be swapping out AV cords and plugs and all that and doohickeys. That looks very familiar. Very familiar indeed. But, anywho. So, I'll show you where I place things. At the moment I have the AV cord outlet, so the multi-tap over there, conveniently located. Behind there, I have some wires and all that, which I'm probably going to try to hide a little bit better in my cave of awesomeness. Now, if you want admittance into this cave of awesomeness, all you got to do is just say, dude, let me play some of your freaking games, and that'll happen. But not if I'm playing it, because if I'm playing it, you gotta wait your damn turn, you selfish bastards. But anywho, this gaming cave is just simply the best. Oops, I forgot to plug that one in. Ha 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 ha. Anywho. So we got the Nintendo GameCube located right there. Right next to the Famiclone, and next to that is the PSX. This will be getting some more action than it deserves. Next is the Super Nintendo, or the Super Famicom in Japan. It's a pretty awesome console in itself, so pay it respect or it will punch you right in the freaking jaw. Because it can do that, because it has Kung Fu grip, as you can see right there. And it has an eject button that's just simply the best, better than all the rest. And also it was very useful too, because, you know, I couldn't be asked to jerk things out of the console because I had fear that it would break the darn games. But with this right there, that was like the very most useful thing I ever saw for a console, was the eject button by the Super Nintendo. Props to you, sir. Props. Next, I got the original Xbox, which after a little bit of doused in consideration, I got the bloody thing to work. Turn that off for now. It's kind of one of the type of things you have to pay attention. Alright, so after that, after the game, the Xbox from hell, after I paired it, made it from that, now I made it into the Xbox of awesome. Thanks also to TG716 and Lukemorse and all those who happen to watch, who helped me repair this beast. Also, next is the PS2. Now, this is by far one of the most used consoles to date. By used, I mean everybody and their grandmother literally uses the bloody thing next to the... You guessed it. Oh, you thought I was going to pick that, right? Yeah, right. The Sega Genesis. Because the Sega Genesis has a lifespan of that of a llama. And no one really knows how much a llama lives for, but people Google it, they'll probably find out. But next to the Sega Genesis is my TurboGrafx-16, which was playing a awesome gameplay of Keith Courage, that game was just in itself awesome. Of course, the Famiclone has some of my 3 games I own, sadly, and you know, the thing is the console itself is kind of freaking me out at the moment because it's kind of burning up some of my games. because it has this really funky smell to it. Now, I don't blame anyone for it, but the thing is, I think, making me paranoid enough to make me play games limited on it, even though I'm currently working on Fantastic World, trying to beat the game, and I have to stop the game after like 30 minutes of gameplay, smell the console to make it feel it, make sure it's not overheating, then power it off, simmering my kettle of gameplay. It's depressing because this game gets really freaking hard after a while too, and it requires a lot of attention. But anywho, as you notice right now, about a chunk of my consoles do not have a game in it right now. Some people think that's a damn shame, other people think it's just effectively smart for the economy. I frankly say, once you're done with the game, you should always take it out of the cartridge anyway, or take it out of its slot anyway. Because if you don't, it will most likely... that one doesn't want to come out. There we go. Because, well, it somehow builds up clutter or a crust inside the cartridge slot. People go, that's bullshit, I don't believe that. Well, leave the cartridge game in the cartridge for about a couple months after you forget it, or you go away on a trip, you come back and you notice the game doesn't quite boot up as you thought it would. You'll see why in a minute. Also, it's very healthy, to clean up your cartridges anyway and place them back neatly in stacked orders rather than just toss them out of a box and forget about them. That's, of course, a very grueling fate for any game whatsoever. Exhibit A, my Dreamcast, which is located at the bottom at the moment. I have some big plans for that one right now, but for now, I felt like it should be down there for now till I can organize everything else. So that way it looks supremely awesome. That, and I'm also trying to build something down here so that way consoles like that can have its own little special level where it can just sit and chill. Last but not least is my family's one of their first consoles. Now, quote unquote, this is not the first console we necessarily had. My brother initially, and my mother, well, technically my mother's, initially had a Coleco Gemini. Now that thing's somewhat rare to an extent, and not very easy to come by. I got one of the controllers behind me somewhere, so yeah. So I've got the Sega Master System, or the Sega Mega Drive to the Britsini Japanese, or I would like to call this one, because I want to be original and be myself, the Sega Power Base, because it kind of sounds cool, doesn't it? The Sega Power Base. Now this thing is having its fritz at the moment, where it's, freezing up on you in the middle of gameplay and all that, so that's why, of course, I have the backup plan with the top loader, so to speak, for the Sega Mega Drive, or in this case, the Sega Master System for the Genesis console Model 1. Now, with that said, I gotta get back to work and finish up cleaning this monstrosity of a closet and hopefully get some good clean out of it. Then after that I can move back and play a little bit of Gears of War 2, because I'm kind of hooked to Horde mode at the moment. Then after that I'm gonna polish off some Fantastic World some more. And also play some Metal Gear Solid 2, because it's really intense. It's really intense! Anyway, so with that said, take it easy, guys, and hope you guys enjoy my gaming closet.